Welcome to Alternative Investments Chat,
where we demystify the world of alternative investments and financing for entrepreneurs and investors alike.
With these discussions, we hope you're more empowered to unlock opportunities in your business or portfolio. I'm Erin.
And I'm Erica. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Alternative Investments Chat. So we have covered some renewable energy sources on other episodes, like wind farms. We talked about those solar panels, but today we're actually going to look at solar panels from a little bit of a different angle. I know they sit on the roof, so I don't know what other angle we're going to get on them, but that's what we're going to do. So if I told you, though, that solar is no longer just about rooftop panels, but about, AI-managed power grids, floating farms in the Alps, desert solar farms, and autonomous robots, and maybe like entire solar-powered cities, would you even believe me?
I don't think so, because all those things you said, a lot of them sound made up. Like you just made them up right now.
I could have, and maybe I did. But honestly, like I said, they really do sound made up, but they are real. Real, tangible things. In 2026, solar isn't just an environmental story. It's a story about infrastructure and innovation, which we'll cover later, and increasingly about smart investments.
Yep, that's right. And today we're going to get into what's been happening lately with solar investing beyond the things that we've talked about on this podcast before, specifically the materials, the technology, the legislation, global leaders, and what investors need to know about the next chapter of solar as this innovation continues to unfold. Yeah. But before we dive in, make sure that you are subscribed, turn on notifications, and leave us a comment letting us know if solar is already a part of your portfolio, or maybe if you learned something new today.
Yeah, we'd love to hear that. We want to talk about your comments.
Exactly. Well, according to Deloitte's 2026 Renewable Energy Outlook and the International Energy Agency's State of Innovation 2026 report, my God.
I know. When I was reading through this, I was like, who names these reports? They must get paid by
the word
or the letter or something. I'm like, good God,
someone who's
make it longer next time, please.
Yeah, that's too much. But basically, solar continues to be one of the fastest growing sources of new electricity generation around the globe. Costs have fallen dramatically over the past decade. A 6 kilowatt residential solar system today costs a fraction of what it did 15 years ago, thanks to scale manufacturing and efficiency improvements.
Oh, got it.
In fact, solar panels in 2010 cost about $8.70 per watt and were about 15% efficient. And today, solar panels cost about $3 per watt on average and are between 19 to 22% efficient. So this means that in 2010, installing residential solar panels cost about $52,000, and that's before any tax credits or incentives or grants that would come your way.
A lot of money just to put some ugly things on your roof.
Yeah, and also, they weren't working at like a super high conversion rate. Still like a great idea. But today, that same installation would cost only $18,000 before all of those grants and tax credits. So you can see that there's been a huge price improvement. Yeah. And importantly, solar is no longer just about installation. It's about integration, storage, grid modernization, and software optimization.
All right. So now here come all the hard words, listeners. We pre-apologize for mispronouncing these. Just so you do know, though, I looked up 8 different pronunciation videos for all these upcoming words because if you could pronounce them, good on you, but we're going to struggle through this a little bit. But with that being said, allow me to introduce you to a new vocabulary word. It's called perovskite. That the lady she had a Russian accent, so I want to keep it.
Well, if you want to say it like, American, perovskite. Perovskite.
Is it skite?
It's skite.
Like skite? Like when the thing skite. Okay, let's do it. Perovskite. Oh yeah, I did write it in skite, and you wrote it skite for me too. Perovskite. Perovskite I like even better. Okay, we're going to call it whatever. It almost sounds like Swarovski if you ask me. I'm not mispronouncing Swarovski crystals. Promise, I know what those are. They just collect dust, but neither here nor there.
Yeah, but it does have something in common with crystals, and we'll get into that.
Yes. So this is one of the biggest breakthroughs in solar energy, and could be actually the key to making solar energy more accessible and powerful than before. So maybe you didn't know this, but this is the OG of the OG solar cells, and they're made up of silicon.
Yes.
Which I did not know that.
That's how all of like solar panels that are installed in the 2010s, like that's what they're made of. is
So
silicon.
weird to me. So that's a material that's been mined and purified with extremely high heat, over 2,732 degrees Fahrenheit to be exact. So you can kind of see like where the dollar signs are adding up here.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do these other perovskite cells come in, and what's the big deal about them, right? So they refer to a specific crystal structure, and I'm not going to go into the details about the chemistry here, since that's not really our forte. I left chemistry in my freshman year in college,
No need
and
to
I don't
revisit.
want to talk about it. But basically what you're going to do is you're going to combine 3 materials together and produce a chemical reaction that creates these perovskite crystals. And that's what they go. 3, mix them up. Boom, there you go. Fun stuff. So now how in the world does this crystal structure from a lab actually turn into a cell capable of converting sunlight into electricity? I'm so glad you asked me, because I'm going to tell you. So there's a few ways to potentially manufacture these cells. You can do a spin coating, which is where you spin the material, like I think of it like what's the
centrifuge.
That, or I was going to say the teacup ride.
Oh, yeah.
Super
Even
fast
better.
and gently heat them up. And then there's the roll to coating. So where fluids are coated or painted onto a rolled up material. A common household item that is manufactured this way is actually packing tape. Think about how it's like rolled up on each other. An adhesive is coated on one side of it, right?
Yeah.
And of the plastic to create the tape.
Yeah.
Unless you're really fancy and you like the 2-sided tape.
Right.
I always suggest 2-sided tape that's on both sides. But probably the most exciting and potentially option is inkjet printing onto flexible surfaces like plastics. Yep, just like printing your college essay or your
Super
W-2 is tax time right now, so all the stuff you need to take
cool. Print out. That's so
exactly
cool.
what it is.
Like
it's
a printer from your house.
Yep.
Printing solar cells. And if we can just think for a second and imagine what we could potentially do with that, we're talking about things like solar window films, solar backpacks, solar car roofs. Like the possibilities here are endless with something that can be done so easily and put onto such a flexible material.
Yeah.
But hold on, silicone isn't all the way out of vogue yet. We still keep her around for some things. But turns out that one of the most promising inventions combines silicone and perovskite into tandem solar cells. So let's break it down how that works. You have a silicone layer on the bottom, and then you have a perovskite layer that lays on top. And the perovskite layer absorbs all of the high energy light. So this is all the light that we can see with our eyes, our human eyes. And the silicone layer underneath actually absorbs the infrared light. So it passes through perovskite and silicon absorbs it. This is part of what makes silicon not the best at converting energy, because it is really good at picking up on those infrared lights, but not as good as picking up like the sunlight that we can see with our eyes.
Yeah.
So with that, you have a solar cell that's pulling double duty, which means more efficient solar cells. Pretty cool.
Very cool, if you ask me. And I can't wait to see what the new products and inventions that will actually be available when to invest in the next, few years.
Yeah.
We say few. That probably is like 50 in our book, but neither here nor there, And that's not the only upgrade solar panels are actually getting. Enter that AI-driven solar panels, the smartest solar panels ever. I know some people are scared of AI, but I feel like for this topic, it's really, really cool, especially when we were doing some research here. So these panels have AI in their software that helps optimize real placement, predicts management needs or maintenance needs, I guess I should say, and maximizes energy capture. So one of the biggest benefits is new and improved solar trackers, which are responsible for rotating the panels throughout the day to make them face the sun. I thought that was so cool because, again, the sun, before AI rotated on a pre-programmed path. Well, what happens like during daylight savings or summer or something like that?
Or
like,
it's cloudy.
Or the weather conditions, like now these panels can move to face the sun in real time. Like, I think I thought that was really cool when we read about that. I was
Super
like,
cool.
oh, okay, I can get down on that. Another huge win is the predictive maintenance. So if you've ever seen a solar farm, you know how big they are. You've probably driven past one and didn't realize it. Some solar farms can contain hundreds of thousands of panels. If you see them, you're driving out, it's just like, which makes it, you know, if you imagine if that was your job to go out and check all those panels.
Yeah.
You can't monitor every single panel to make sure it's in tip-top shape. It would just take you forever. So an AI-driven panel can issue alerts when things aren't working properly, so problems can be taken care of quicker.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of like a check engine light.
Yeah, totally.
It's like on each panel, bink, like, hey, look at me, instead of walking by each panel and what happens if you miss.
Yep. And it saves a lot of man hours and also potentially a lot of money.
Yeah.
And something that I actually didn't know is that dust and debris can reduce solar output by 5 to 30%.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. And if you think about it, though, like the panels rely on absorbing the sunlight. And if dust and debris are on top of the panels, it's like you're covering it. So it's hard for the sunlight to get through.
Yeah.
And some of the best locations for solar panels are typically in dusty areas. Like here in Arizona, we live in a desert. There's dust storms and dust flying all around a lot. But in China, actually, they have a few solar farms that are doing really, really well that are in desert areas. And they have autonomous robots that actually now patrol and clean the desert solar farms, sometimes up to 12 times per day after a sandstorm comes through.
Solar rumbas.
Yeah, seriously. And this obviously like cuts the need for constant human supervision for somebody to come through and clean all of them off. And also, you know, we mentioned there's so many panels that are in these solar farms. I'm not even sure that someone could get through cleaning all of them in a 24-hour period.
Not efficiently anyway, or not.
Yeah.
You could probably take a quick broom over the top, but they wouldn't be clean, like how my mother makes me clean with toothbrush,
Spick and span.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Which that's pretty cool. And also the robots are solar powered as well.
That's so funny.
Yeah, of course.
Little robots they also need the sun.
Yep. Exactly.
Who cleans the robots?
Well, that's a good question, actually. But they just like sit on top of the solar panels. And I saw a video of it. It's really cool if you want to look it up. But the little robot just kind of like sits on top and just like glides over. And it's kind of like a vacuum and also like dust. Cool.
I love it.
Yeah. And also AI can work like an awesome manager 24/7 for the solar panels to make decisions about when to store energy, when to sell energy, when to use stored power, which helps actually forecast and helps with grid balancing and helps solar transition into being able to integrate with traditional infrastructure so that you can know how much you're going to use, how much you need, and you can also figure out, okay, we're short on solar, we need oil and gas or whatever.
Got it.
So pretty cool. And we actually just touched on something huge here, which is storage.
Right.
And storage has seen a huge improvement. And this is where a lot of capital is actually flowing right now. If you think about it, the sun only shines for part of the day. We all know this, right? But if we don't have a place to store that excess energy that's collected during the day, there's no way to use it when solar power isn't around, when the sun isn't out.
Yeah.
And traditional energy sources like coal and gas can produce energy on the spot. If you have gasoline, you can make a fire right away. Like it's not, you don't need to have something going on in order for you to use gas.
Right.
And with storage, that unlocks that same principle for solar panels as well. And some of the major improvements that have happened in recent years are lithium-ion batteries, which you probably have heard about because these are the things that are in our phones, our laptops, our electric cars.
I have two in my car.
Yeah.
I have a big one and a little one in my car. Yeah.
They're everywhere right now, and there's good reason for that. Overall, these batteries charge faster, they weigh less, they last longer, and they cost less than other rechargeable batteries prior to their invention. And people are going crazy for these batteries. The global lithium-ion battery market exceeded $150 billion in 2025. And that's an increase of 20% over 2024. And with that growth comes obviously plenty of investment opportunities for our listeners, not just has to do with solar panels, but also just with batteries themselves. Pretty interesting.
That's exactly right. And from, ETFs, private equity, venture capital, the opportunities to get involved in solar and the storage are, becoming endless almost, it seems. So you see for a long time, solar seemed stuck. Since the dawn of time, humans have been trying to figure out how to use the sun's energy for practical everyday tasks. We've seen this a lot. There's cave drawings with sunlight. Okay. So like starting fires, like you mentioned, or heating bathhouses, we're trying to how can we use the sun to make these things happen? It's like, it's big. We're smart. Let's do this. In fact, the first solar cell was actually invented in 1883 by inventor Charles Fritz.
That's pretty cool.
I know. When I read that, I was like, dang, I didn't realize we've been trying that hard. I mean,
for a long time.
For a long time, we couldn't figure out an actual efficient solution for the fact that the sun's power is intermittent. Again, like we said, it goes down.
Yeah, comes and goes.
It's cloudy, all those things. So lithium-ion battery storage is the biggest breakthrough in solving that actual issue. And innovation is also happening in how the land is used, because we talked about there's large plots of land that these solar panels sit on. So there's this cool thing that combines two words, and it's agrovoltaics. It's agriculture, and then voltaics from, and I can't remember what the other word was now because I watched a bunch of stuff on that.
Really quick? Agrovoltaics.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it how I want to say it.
Okay.
So again, say that 3 times fast. Agrovoltaics. There we go. And it's actually gaining traction. So basically, it's where solar panels are built to create shaded areas for crops to grow, which can reduce heat, stress, and increase water retention. So small projects around the globe are starting to demonstrate how agriculture and energy production can actually coexist. And when I was looking up how to pronounce this, and still can't pronounce it right, I'm giving up on that. But I stumbled across some really cool things. So there's actually, in fact, out in Oracle, Arizona, there's the world's largest earth science experiment called Biosphere 2 that is actually doing that exact same thing. It's this huge solar paneled, basically Biosphere 1 is the earth. And Biosphere 2, they're trying to mimic how things are grown on the earth. It's supposedly supposed to have like a rainforest, an ocean, desert, tropical, all kinds of stuff. So I checked out their website. They do tours. So I think that we should go on a road trip and check this out. It's about 99 miles, I think, is what I saw south of us. So it ain't that far.
We can do that.
It's, above Tucson, but a little over.
Yeah, that sounds cool. I would love to go see that. I've heard of it, but I haven't been. Okay, so get this. I know that we teased this at the beginning of the episode here, but floating solar farms.
I know. You got to tell me about
Crazy.
this.
Can you believe it? There are a few of these around the world, but Switzerland is credited with pioneering high-altitude floating solar. The Lac des Toules.
I love it.
Again, lots of vocab words coming at you today. This project takes advantage of strong sun at high altitude, especially during the winter months. They leverage the albedo effect, the reflection of sunlight off of snow and ice. Turns out that solar panels actually really like being in a cooler environment as it enables them to create higher electrical output. I think that's pretty cool because we think about solar panels being in really hot, sunny climates like here. But obviously, this is taking place where it snows and it's icy. And right now, it's doing amazing things. It's reported that this project is producing enough energy to power 220 homes annually.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. And they are reported to be 50% more efficient than panels that are operating at low altitudes. If you have some time, I would definitely take a look at this. There's some in China, too, and in Portugal. Just look up floating solar farms. Really interesting concept.
Well, it makes sense to me. I grew up skiing, and so we used to have to put on sunscreen. And I'm like, it's freezing cold outside. What do you mean, Mom? I have to put on sunscreen. But you definitely get goggle eyes, and my nose has been more sunburned from skiing, I think, than actually going to the beach. Because of that. And until I read this, I just absolutely love that story because I didn't really think about that. And how that played when I would go on the slopes. And I was like, this is so funny. It doesn't, things that we encounter every single day or when we've grown up, never even think about how we
Yeah.
could actually use that.
Yeah.
So especially like in Missouri, you keep giving me all the hard words. Uravon. It's called Uravon's Kelso Solar Project. It increased local tax revenue by roughly 10%, directly supporting public services. This plant has the ability to power over 62,000 homes each year. That's a lot of homes.
A lot of homes.
To put that into perspective, that's enough energy to power about half of the homes in Chandler, Arizona.
For a whole year.
Chandler's not small either.
No, it's not.
And then there's Babcock Ranch, Florida, aka the first fully solar-powered community in America.
Pretty cool.
I want to do some more research on this because it's really neat. It has been ranked among America's fastest growing communities and was notably resilient during Hurricane Milton. If you've ever lived through a hurricane, I have. I don't recommend it. Due to its underground utility and solar infrastructure. I think that's so freaking cool.
Yeah.
And solar development isn't just panels anymore. It's real estate, resilience, and, that sustainable design.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's really cool.
Yeah. And there's just more and more cool things that are happening. But a huge driver for continued expansion of solar is legislation and incentives that are happening around the world. Here in the U.S., the Trump administration has brought forth policy that's really focusing on prioritizing domestic manufacturing and oil and gas. So solar here has kind of taken a little bit of a break, but that's okay because there's lots of other places around the world that are showing us some cool inventions or potential ways that they could be used in the future. So looking abroad, the EU has a goal of generating at least 42.5% renewable energy by 2030. Legislation like the European Green Deal and the Renewable Energy Directive are hoping to achieve this goal by providing large subsidies for solar deployment and easier permitting. And in China, we're seeing similar policies that offer subsidy for solar manufacturing. Currently, China produces the world's basically pretty much. It's like 80% of the world's solar panels that are being used.
That's wild.
They're crazy.
It's wild.
That's a lot. And in fact, they're continuously building more and more solar farms. And their solar output capacity is expected to overtake their coal capacity in this year, 2026. And in India, the Jawaharlal Nehru National Solar Mission was launched in effort to rapidly expand solar power. And we're talking about huge solar parks, incentives for rooftop solar, and domestic solar manufacturing that's increasing there as well. So I think you could see plenty of countries around the world have been bit by the solar bug.
Yeah.
And that means that there's a lot more investment opportunities to come and a lot more innovation and inventions that are to come as more and more people get involved.
I like that. But we always have to remember innovation doesn't eliminate risk. Okay. So while legislation can help solar expand, it can also deter its growth as well. So solar in an industry high supported by government incentives, and if those are taken away, solar is impacted. If you ask me to put something on my house that's hideous, like solar panels, when I get nothing out of it, I'm probably not going to do it, right? So they are ugly, but I mean, I want some. Don't get me wrong. I definitely do. So additionally, while solar is continuing to come down in that cost, it's still expensive. Most solar projects are financed. Even when the families put solar panels on their residential homes, they're typically seeking out a loan on top of whatever tax breaks and subsidies they might get. That is a question I know we've talked about with our other podcasts about REITs and home buying and all that good stuff. One of the questions I've been asking if I do see solar panels on a house is, are they owned?
Yeah.
Or are they being leased?
Yeah, leased or owned, for sure.
And we know that when loans get brought into this mix, so do interest rates. So if you get a loan, So changes in the interest rates can dramatically affect profits, which eat into your returns as an investor. Again, the people we care about the most on this podcast are investors. And of course, there's also those supply chain risks, which is also something else to always consider. Solar innovations are made possible in no small part by global supply chain. Well, okay. Any disruption to that can make it more expensive to the manufacturing and create shortages, which we, don't want to talk about, but we did see some supply chain issues in 2020. So any disruption that can make it more expensive to manufacture or create shortages. Disruption includes trade disputes, wars, environmental disasters, pandemics, and lots of other things too.
Exactly. And let's not forget the risk that also comes with technology. Anytime we talk about technology, this risk is there, and that's a potential for obsolescence. As solar technologies continue to advance, existing technology can become virtually useless.
Yeah.
You don't want to be the BlackBerry when the iPhone comes through, because now it's like, okay, what's the point of this?
Yep.
But as always, a great way to mitigate these risks is to use that magic word, diversify and diversification, the D word. Solar can be accessed through utilities, ETFs, infrastructure funds, private credit structures, or direct project investment. Working with advisors can help you to understand liquidity and do your due diligence to evaluate technology risk versus infrastructure stability.
Always work with somebody, do your due diligence. We know this, we preach this. So solar in 2026 is not just about clean energy. It's about infrastructure modernization, there we go, energy security, AI integration, storage innovation, and urban resilience. It's a part of a broader curiosity of renewable energy and digital infrastructure. More and more, solar is moving, I think, away from being this weird little niche thing. It's not niche anymore. It's actually the potential foundation for infrastructure asset.
Yeah,
if you ask me.
Exactly. It'll just continue to expand and become more and more legitimate. And speaking for myself, I find the world of solar to be super fascinating. There's so many new developments that are emerging that have the potential to both lower our costs and open the door to some tech that seems like it belongs in a sci-fi film.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, can you imagine the day that you are driving in your car that is solar powered by a solar powered roof? You step into your office that is powered by solar windows. You reach into your solar panel backpack to pull out your solar panel laptop. Like everything just has solar panels on it.
It sounds pretty cool. I just want to go up to the floating. So I'm like, on my lunch break, I'm going to run up to my solar farm that's up in the clouds and maybe go up there for a second. Anyway, no, but of course there are going to be some bumps on that road. So just remember that this industry is evolving. And with that comes policy shifts, changes in those policies, interest rates, and global trade.
Yep.
All I can say for certain is change. Is that there's more to come with this asset class, and it definitely one to keep your eye on.
Totally.
I will definitely say that. And with so many other innovations happening, which again we'll get into in other episodes, there's lots, people. There's bound to be more investment opportunities to come with that.
Yep, exactly. And if this episode helped you see solar a little bit differently or made you learn something new, maybe share it with someone who's interested in infrastructure or eco-conscious investing. And don't forget to subscribe. Follow us on social media. We exist there. You can check us out. And let us know which clean energy innovation you are watching or curious about for this year. As always, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us. Stay tuned for more insight on our next episode.
And don't forget to subscribe to continue the Alternative Investments chat.
See you next time.
Content provided in this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be construed as professional, financial, or investment advice. This podcast should not be construed as an offer to sell or a solicitation of any offer to buy any securities. We strongly recommend that you seek advice from a qualified professional before making any financial decisions.